Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Today we are joined by the beautiful Aude Firmin. I hope I pronounced it correctly with my French accent. Aude is a spiritual mentor and an intuitive business coach. Welcome, Aude. How are you today?
Yes, I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's exciting. Aude and I connected on LinkedIn a little while ago, and she has done some spiritual mentorship and some Reiki healing with me as I'm going through my own very big life transitions and career transitions right now. And so I feel as though she was intuitively guided to help support me through a lot of the things that I have going on right now. And I feel that the world needs more of her gifts and services. So was very excited to ask her to come on the podcast today and share with everyone more of her magic and what she does. So very happy to have you today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Can you tell everyone a little bit more about your younger years? So like your cultural background and upbringing and what kind of shaped you yeah, into who you are now. Yeah.
Okay, yes. Yes, I will try to summarize. So, yes, I come from Paris. I lived was one third of my life there. My family is the typical middle class family, middle up class family, and I was educated in a Catholic school, and it was lovely, but very white. Everyone was expected to be a financial, a doctor, and for me, I was like, I'm sure I can do something else. I felt a bit different from everyone else. And at the beginning, I wanted to do an art school, but my family was like, you need to earn money. So this was dismissed a bit quickly. But finally, I decided to do a business school because I love travel, I love business, and I thought it will expand my horizon towards different people. But it was still quite the same type of people. So I decided to move to the UK in London to expand on my English to meet other type of people. And long story short, I worked for 12 years in tech.
Oh,
And I had, yeah, so it was great. I was working for Microsoft, for Gucci, for mobile marketing agencies. But a series of events happened where I was redirected towards creating my own business, this holistic and intuitive business, in
mhm.
order to help people in their spiritual development find themselves, reconnecting to their intuition, their energetic connection, and find their purpose. And ultimately creating their business intuitively. So that's like the headlines of my life.
Yeah, wow. With your family, that really resonates with me in terms of
Mm-hmm.
feeling a little bit different, and not wanting to go sort of down the more conventional career path. How did your parents, how did they react when you started studying business and then when you moved to London? Was that well received?
So one thing to mention was that unfortunately my dad was suffering alcoholism and depression. So the atmosphere in the family was quite chaotic with a lot of mental health issues. So that was one of the first highlights of my life, feeling like, okay, there is something I need to do to help. And,
Yeah.
typically the child who wants to save their parents. Um, and unfortunately, my dad died of a heart attack in 2009. So that has had a massive impact on my life. So, and 3 years later, I had a massive psychic awakening with a lot of paranormal activities. So to answer your question, they were very happy for me to start this journey in technology. They were worried as well because the first job I had in London, unfortunately, There was one of the directors who abused me sexually, and it led to a massive burnout and crash that resulted in a suicide attempt. So there has been like big events in my life
Uh,
that led to this path of trying to heal myself while maintaining this facade of like I'm successful in tech. So it was a bit like two different life in parallel for 12 years. So in parallel, after work at night, I will be researching for hours on energy, intuition, mindfulness, plant medicine, everything to heal myself from these big events in my life. So that was like the framework that later on led me to creating this company in holistic and intuition.
and I hear things like this with people who are drawn to wellness and spiritual practices, that there is so much resistance for such a long time. I find
Mm.
that with a lot of people, and
Mm.
anytime, it's the expression of what you resist persists.
Yes.
The more you try to push something away, the louder and louder it gets. And it's, if it's meant for you, you can't push it away. And it's horrible, some of the things that you've just described that happened to you. But I do find that these rock bottom moments, where when we're ignoring, our path, or not necessarily ignoring, maybe we're not aware, as happens with a lot of people. They're doing something, and they something doesn't feel right, but they can't identify it. The universe will just continually floor you. And at first it'll just be like, hey, don't do that, and it'll be like annoying, and then you ignore it, and then something will happen, like you'll lose your job, and you're like, okay, that's pretty big. And they just get bigger and bigger and bigger until you're literally floored, like a rock bottom, and there's nowhere else to go, and you have to change your direction. One of
Yeah.
my favorite like podcast wellness people is named Mark Groves. I don't know if his podcast is Create the Love. He's wonderful. I've been listening to him for years, and he calls these moments a cosmic 2x4 that just
Oh, okay.
it just knocks you over, and it
Mm.
forces you to just kind of reassess everything. And I see so much of it in my private practice with clients. That's when they start therapy, and they think their life is over, and it's really the beginning of a new life.
Absolutely. Yes, I love it. And that's why, I always had these insights, when these challenges came to me, even if it was difficult, I knew that it will help me transform. And I'm honestly so grateful it happened to me.
Yeah.
And even with the death of my dad, that led me to psychic mediumship, I'm so grateful because, of course, it's always grief, but having the possibility to have this connection with our loved ones that everyone can have, because I'm training hundreds of people all over the world to develop their intuition for their business, but also their psychic abilities to be in contact with their loved ones, is magnificent. And that's why I'm so passionate about my job, because it transformed my life, transforms the life of others, and also it's a gift that we have this intuition, this energy, and as you said, they are speaking to us. And if we can just listen and receive the message more clearly, our life becomes so much more magical and enjoyable. I remember when I was again a teenager in this Catholic school, I was like a spectator of my life, and like, is this just this? This is so boring. I was not related to anyone. I wanted to talk about consciousness and energy and even aliens, whatever, but
Yeah.
no one was talking about this. They were just talking about career and money, and it's great, but there was a layer, a depth that I was missing. And as you said, I really believe that we have all these qualities embedded, and life and challenges just show us this part of the puzzles. And at some point, it all fits together. We never lose time. So many times in my life when I was during these 12 years in tech and I was resisting my purpose, I remember at that time, my partner at that time was like, "Why do you have to question things so much? You know, you have a great job, you have a 6K figures job, you have friends, you have family, you have me. Why are you not happy?" And I was like, I just know, I can't explain. I just know I am here to make a difference, to make a positive impact on the world, to create more love, to raise consciousness without becoming like a spiritual guru, just as a teacher. And we are all teachers, you know. I make sure that ego has no space here, and that's what happened. And since then, my life has really transformed, and it's I feel full of love and purpose, and I can share this with other people and help them be in this state, which is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I really resonate with when you said that you were in school and just really feeling like I have such memories of being in high school and everyone was getting ready for university and talking about subjects that they were going to study in, and I just remembered feeling like this is so pointless. Why, like, what are we doing? And I was so frustrated. And I remember saying, I don't want to go to university. Seems like a huge waste of time and money. I would just like to just get a job now and work for a while and figure out what I want to do because I know that's not my path. But that was not an option in my family. And that led to many, many, many fights before I finally succumbed and went to university, but I still to this day feel like it was such a waste of time and money. And I just, every part of my being resisted it so strongly. It just was not my path, and I knew it. Uh,
Yeah, I would like to come back on this one because I really believe through my experience and the hundreds of clients I've helped so far that we don't waste time. You know, if I didn't have spent 12 years in tech, okay, burning out repetitively, but trying to find the tools that works for me and others in order to go through it, accepting my sensitivity as a gift instead of being like the black sheep as we were referring to, and learning tools and strategy to help myself and therefore others, I wouldn't have been able to launch my business and be successful and profitable after 2 or 3 months. So I think even if we feel like we've wasted a lot of time, even in love relationship or whatever, there is always a teaching. And it's just that at that time we don't understand it yet, but everything is super, super valuable. So now when my brain catches me and be like, "Oh, you're wasting your time," I'm just like, I just don't understand the bigger picture, and it's fine. I trust I'm on the right road, and that's a question I often have. Is people are like, "Am I on the right path?" It's impossible not to be on the right path. There are lots of roads that lead to one point. We all have free will, but ultimately, we'll get there. If it makes sense.
yeah, it does. I actually was trying to explain that to someone recently who was like, but what if I make the wrong choice? And I said, there's no such thing.
Yes.
Wrong choice. It's just it's everything is a lesson, right? If you make that choice and it doesn't work out for you, then you just know, okay, I'm gonna do the other thing, or like I'm not gonna do that thing again, it's
Yeah,
fine.
absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing that really helped me and really helps me every day in order to make choices is to see if it elevates me or if it, in terms of energy, or if it shrinks me. And of course, you know, we all have fears, but it's like, do I feel excitement? So it's more like the purpose, the intuition, or do I feel like life is sucked out of me and I don't want to do this? So that's the first question I ask myself. And the second question is, do I make this choice for myself, align with myself, or do I make the choice for someone else? Because 3/4 of my life, I've been a very big people pleaser, always prioritizing others in order to have validation of worth and love. But it made me feel empty. So now I know that I need to fill up my tank in order to feel good and to also help people at the end. So simple thing like, do I want to have a coffee with someone? Do I make it for them? So okay, that's great. Or am I really excited about it? And if I'm not, it's like, okay, maybe it's not the right time. So I really, day after day, moment by moment, I choose in alignment, and this is these little things that at the end put us on our, in alignment and feeling good, if it makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I want to go back to what you said when you were discussing your first sort of awakening.
Yeah.
Um, what did that look like for you? Because I definitely um, resonate with knowing that you're different, being on a path, but like you said that you had like a spiritual or a psychic awakening is what you said, right?
Yeah, yeah,
How
yeah,
did that
absolutely.
for
So, to reply to your question, I think we all have lots of spiritual awakening in our life without the Big Bang, but yeah, this one was a Big Bang. It was it was quite weird. I was in my room in London in 2013, 14,
you?
in Elephant and Castle. I was sharing a flat with someone, and I started to have some crazy paranormal experiences, like my computer playing music by itself, the door opening, psychic attacks. So like dreams where I would be frozen, I wouldn't be able to move, but things that I couldn't deny it was happening.
Hmm.
And in parallel, so it was just after I came back from London after the big suicide attempt, etc. And I was learning meditation. I was like, okay, I need to get my life into shape. I need to live my life the way I want and prevent this kind of events. And I was learning meditation with a Tibetan teacher. And I was paralyzed about all of this because I didn't know what was happening. Obviously, I couldn't really talk to my family, who was anti-religion,
Yeah.
spiritual, ghost, and will already think I'm a bit crazy with everything that happened to me. And the Tibetan teacher was like, "Oh yes, it's you have great psychic abilities, and you're good at meditation." I'm like, "No, but my life is upside down right now. There is a ghost in my room. What do I do?"
Yeah.
And so, anyway, there were lots of events. He sent me to a church, like Tibetan, sending me to the Church of England with someone specialized in spirits to help me with this situation. And long story short, I started after months of resisting and struggling with this, I started to learn psychic mediumship in the College of Psychic Studies, which is one of the top institutions in the world that has trained psychic medium for 300 years, and now I'm one of the teachers. And yeah, it helped.
What's it called? The school?
The College of Psychic Studies. It's in London, in South Kensington, West London,
Okay.
and now I became one of the teachers.
Wow.
Um,
That's amazing.
yeah, yes, thank you. And I remember my first experience with a psychic medium was absolutely horrible. Actually, it's one of their teachers, but I'm not going to mention the name. And I was like, oh, it's not real. He was not able to describe my dad accurately, and it's just to highlight that unfortunately in this field, it's a bit like coaches or everyone else. You have people who are good, who are mindful, some less. And so it's a bit of a lottery, or you need to do some research on this.
Yeah.
So, as you know, like coming from Paris, from a traditional family, I was not ready to launch myself as a psychic medium. That was absolutely not socially accepted. And that's also one of the reasons I resisted this gift. And even being a spiritual life coach, I had the question, who am I to have this title or whatever, or do this job? But life brings that to you, people who come to you for help. And one of the big turning points from tech to intuitive and holistic uh, was 2 years ago when I traveled to Israel, Palestine, just before the latest war outbreak. So I was working at Gucci as a consultant with my tech company. So I already had created one first company, and my guides. So I was doing my holistic and intuitive in the background, and my guides were, you need to go to Jerusalem. And I was like, I can't. I work for Gucci. I have no time.
Where did they want you to go?
I didn't know at that time. I
Okay.
didn't know, but they were like, you have to go. And I like, and that's the thing. It's like you have intuitive prompt. It doesn't make sense, but if you
Yeah.
follow, it's a bit like Alice in Wonderland. And I
Hmm.
like, I can't. I have to finish the project. Da da da. The project was cut short for budget reason 1 week later. So they took care of it. And the date of the flight was perfect. And so obviously my family, when I told them I'm going to go to Israel, Palestine, and I say the two words because I don't want to make a political position here, were like, you're crazy, it's going to be very dangerous, but I just knew I had to go. And I went there and it was incredible. I was led to, so I was brought up as a Catholic, but I always defined myself more spiritual because there are lots of approaches that with
Yeah.
religion that doesn't really fit well with me, but of course I respect everyone else's belief system. And went to Israel, Palestine, specifically Jerusalem. I went to the different places of the Bible, and I could feel a specific energy from Jesus, from Mary, from. So I was like, oh my God, this is another level. And for me,
Could or you couldn't?
I could, like specifically, I was having channeling and visions, and now I started to have visions of Mary and Jesus and Mary Magdalene. I'm like, oh no, no, I can't say that to the world. Just send me Buddha, don't send me Jesus. Oh my God. But but for me, what I understood, because it was also one of the cringe I had to go through. I had to go through the cringe of psychic mediumship, the cringe of spiritual life coach, now the cringe of visions of Jesus. So
Mm.
like, when is it going to stop? But I knew I was just a channel. So no one like I'm not the new prophet, okay, guys. I'm just a channel like everyone else. And yeah, and I received a lot of guidance, and then they led me to they led me to south of France on the steps of Mary Magdalene. So every time I will receive information and I will be guided. And my mom was like, are you going to turn into a nun? What's going on? When are
I
you
can't even
coming back?
imagine trying to explain any of that to either one of my parents.
Oh no, but
There's
my
no
family,
way.
yeah, my family think I'm a bit of a crazy. They're not, yeah, and because also at 7 years old, I nearly became a nun as well, because one of my best friends was really into religion, and it was the only topic I was not good at, and I was like, oh, I want to be a nun as well. And my mom, who is the example of the agnostic, was like, oh my God, no way, I
Yeah.
can't have I can't have a daughter that is a nun. But anyway, going back to Israel, at some point, I was in Tel Aviv. It was a full moon, very cliche. I was swimming in the sea, and I got the download: tech is over, and now you're launching your business. Stop waiting. And I was like, okay, yes, I accept. But I didn't know it was like a contract. I was
Mhm.
like, okay. So after south of France, I came back to London 1 year and yeah, 1 year and 8 months ago, when since I created this company. And I really didn't want to have another job in tech, but I was like, okay, I need the money, scarcity, blah blah blah. No job was available to me. While before, I will have a job in 2 days. Uh, so you can put it on the economic crisis, but I could feel the shift of energy, and they kept telling me the doors are closed. Create your company. Of course, you have the choice, but this is what's happening. And yes, it was very scary. I'm not going to lie. And yes, I ask myself, do I have another like side job, like as a waitress? I mean, I will be a terrible waitress, like spilling food on all the people, being fired in 1 hour. About like, do I need to have another job to live in central London? But over these months, client came to me. I like things came through, and that's also what I teach my students and clients in intuitive business coaching: is things happen not in a logical way. That's why we need to trust this higher power. You can call it whatever you want, because they support us. It's the power of intuition, energetic alignment, and intention that creates very fast. And that's why people ask me, how come you created your company so fast and so profitable? This is this tool, like Reiki, intuition, spiritual life coaching. That's the tool I use for me that works really well. And I just teach them to others. Simple.
Yeah. I experienced the doors closing, and like when you're being pushed to do something. It was the same before I launched my website and started my private practice because I'd been working in marketing forever, and it carried me through, the whole time I was doing my training and when I was getting my hours as a trainee therapist and all of that. And then when I was ready to start working with clients, I was like, I'll just do 1 or 2 days a week and I'll keep copywriting and working in marketing. And like, my contract ended as a copywriter, and it was so easy for me to get work prior to that. And then it was like every door was closed. And for months it was the resisting. I applied in so many places. I've never had so many rejections. It was crazy. And then as soon as I knew it was like, you have to put your website on. Like I was like being screamed at. And as soon as I
Yeah,
did, it was like the floodgates open and suddenly I just had like tons of clients. It was crazy. Yeah, it
yeah, yeah,
happens.
yeah. And I really believe that when we focus our energy on one thing, it flows better. But I say that, but at the same time, I get downloads as well. Um, my guide was saying me at the beginning, when I created this holistic and intuitive company, I had a business coach who told me you have to specialize either in Reiki or in psychic. And I was like, man, I have 50% of my clients in both. I'm not going to cut 50% of the revenue. And it created a lot of stress in my body. So Megan, we were talking about how do we make decisions. So just like this thing about like stress in my body was telling me, don't follow what others tell you. You have the answers, and that's also what I teach in spiritual life coaching and intuitive business coaching: is to download your own answers, so you have your power and you create something that is really out of your eye, that is in your eye alignment and your essence. And so now I don't know, I have 5 or 6 services. It's crazy, like psychic, Reiki, intuitive business coaching, etc. And it is amazing. So I have a lot of people who come to me and say, "Oh, but I love doing dance and poetry." And yes, this is the puzzle. It's just finding the link between all of them. And so for you, Megan, like with the marketing and the podcast, it's so beautiful. So this
Yeah.
is unique. This is your signature. So we don't want the same templated, boring marketing or podcast. This is your own, with your own energy, and
Yeah.
your clients, your tribe will find you because of your energy, not even because of your services, which is, yeah, well, that's what I find fascinating.
Yeah. When I started the podcast, it was something I'd been talking about forever, and I kept trying to talk to other podcasts and be like, "Do you need
Mm.
an assistant? I just want to learn." And like, no one everyone was like, "No, we're not hiring. We're not hiring." And then finally, I was like, I think I'm just going to try and start my own. And it happened so fast. As soon as I did, put a few messages out to people that I thought would be good guests, and like every week I have people that are coming to me that like, they either want to be on it or they want to talk about it, or I'm like, "Oh my gosh, would you want to be on my podcast?" There hasn't been anyone that I've asked so far that has been like, "Ooh, no." Everyone's like, "Yeah, definitely. I want to be on." And so it's very aligned, and I am able to use all of my skills from my previous career, like blogging and SEO and photography, video, writing, copywriting, everything. It all comes together to make this possible. So,
Yeah, and that's also why I was delighted to be in your podcast, because this is not even about the podcast; it's about the energy, the resonance, and that's why it's like when you see someone like, so like with a big heart, like this sensitivity, this intuition, and helping, empowering people like you empowered yourself. This is a big yes, and that's what people. I didn't even know what you were putting in your podcast,
yeah.
so. Like, can you send me the link? It's
Yeah.
just my intuition told me, like, Megan podcast, yes, definitely, and for me, and that's also lead me to another topic. My mom is like, you train people in becoming Reiki, psychic, or coaches, or being good at business. Are you not afraid that they're going to steal your business? And I'm like, Mom, you have to understand that we are not anymore in the world of competition. The real world is collaboration. It's a co-creation, because my energy is different from your energy. Everyone has a place. So when I created this company in Reiki, Psychic, etc., people were like, "Oh, you will never be able to make money. There are so many of them, or you're going to be ridiculous." No, because if you create your own with your own energy, mine is really around grounded spirituality, no ego. You can be intuitive in the modern world, and I lost one of my part, but anyway, so it's there is a space for everyone, and everyone should really be more and more reassured seeing people like you or me that it's possible to step into your power, and that in any way, in some kind of magical and beautiful ways, the universe will provide for you. So this fearful voice, I say, no, no, you're not going to make money and you can't live in London. Like, okay, it's fine. I'm going to show you that I'm supported, I'm guided, and we can ask for help, through prayer, meditation, or just talking out loud like a crazy.
Yeah, and I think what your mother said, that is like programming, right? Well, one that they received because
Yeah, absolutely.
it's very scarcity mindset based. And I get from my mother in particular is that is how her mind works. And it comes from a place of fear and like a lack of
Absolutely.
security. And it's always tends to go in that direction, and that's been a big part of like the unlearning that I've had to do. And with launching anything or making any big decisions like that, I'm moving and I'm forming my company here and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, I have learned to just stop really talking about it with, like, people can ask and I can give them a rough plan, but if they're like, "Well, are you worried about this?" Da da da, and I'm like, "You know what? It's not figured out yet, so I'm not really sharing." Because when lots of people start putting their input in, it just comes from a place of fear or they don't understand, and it's really unhelpful.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore my mom. As if you watch it, mom, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I think our family specifically and people around us serve us as spiritual teachers, So they are like, don't do this. This is the way, and this is a spiritual challenge for us to gain our sovereignty back and be like, no, I'm going to follow this voice no matter what, that I don't need the validation of my peers, I have this, I have again all the answers within myself. So this is how we start gaining back our power, and it's so magnetic. I used to be not confident, always doubting my self-worth, etc. And people now are like, oh, you've always been confident. No, I was not at all. I was not at all. And it's by listening to this inner voice that I became confident, because I know this is the path. This is the path. Um, and also, the funny thing is, talking about my mom, and then we'll stop talking about her, is she's the first one who is psychic. She's super intuitive,
Oh,
but because, as you say, conditioning and societal thing, she will say, no, it's just I'm good at reading people. But I got the gifts through her, which is quite ironic when you think about it.
yeah, that's amazing. How does she how does she say that she's good at reading people, but that she's not psychic? Isn't that's literally being psychic, right?
I think, and it's a good topic as well. We could do a full podcast on this. Is there, when people hear the word psychic, they
Yeah.
will put it on Hollywood movies, charlatan, etc. I mean, of course, not everyone. While intuition is most likely accepted, and the difference between intuition and psychic, it's psychic. It's you are more actively receiving visions, learn. Sounds, etc., inner knowing, while intuition is more like, yeah, these gut feelings.
Yeah.
But psychic, I have a lot of politicians and pop stars who come to me for having their business strategies. So it's just, I think it's still a bit underground, but a lot of people are coming. So it's more like, that's also one of the mission of my job, is to say, everyone is coming to me already, so we
Yeah.
can we can talk about it openly, and more people are talking, which is great. And there is no shame about it. It's again, we are all intuitive and psychic. So let's use it, let's celebrate it, because our life will be much more fun at the end.
Yeah, and it's my understanding that everyone is. And I can't remember where I heard it was. I think it was another podcast that I listened to, and they were explaining the word what is it? Claire, like Clair. So when and it's basically all your senses, right? So if you're a clairvoyant, then you get visions and you see the future, or things that might happen, or things that are happening, whatever. And then it goes through all of the senses. But in the first reading I ever had with anyone who has, very strong abilities, probably like almost 10 years ago, she was like, straight away, she was like, "You are clairsentient." And I was like, "What?" And I had no idea. I was working as a social media manager. I didn't have any. And she was like, "You're going to be a therapist. You're going to work with women. I want you to explore that." And I was like, because I had just gotten like what I thought was my dream job. And she said so many things. I went back recently and read everything I wrote down from that session. And it's actually really crazy. She predicted a lot of things. But at the time, I was like, right, whatever. And I had to Google Claire Sentient, and then learned later, from other like podcasts and whatever, that everyone has these abilities. It's clairsentient, clairvoyant.
Claire sentient, seeing, clair audient,
Yeah,
hearing,
claircognizant.
um, clair connaissance, knowing. So you have lot, and when I train people, people come for training in psychic coaching for different reasons. Some they want to be in contact with their loved ones, or they want to do psychic reading, and I have like a course to help them to become a psychic medium. Some they want to have more intuition in their businesses. So, for example, a lot of coaches, so they can guide their clients better, or even like the businessman. I have a lot of men actually, which is quite fun, who
Hmm.
wants to make better deals and who wants to download his business strategy. And that's also why I became quite famous. Is there are not a lot of psychic medium who ally psychic mediumship and business, and I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. I find it so fascinating. And so, for example, I work with one of a pop star, and I help her with her next album and strategy and music. So it's amazing. I work with so many different people,
Yeah.
um, and so yeah, everyone is psychic. The most
Yeah.
skeptic person, one of my best students. He was a designer in a game, like in the gaming industry. He came to me on Instagram. He was like, I don't even know why I'm here. I'm like, well, that's your intuition that led you there. Like, I don't understand what is Reiki. You have to explain it to me. I was like, I can explain it to you, but you'll experience it. And like, but how come you can read my energy and have all this information? But we are surrounded with information. We have these abilities. And so it's more a matter of letting our ego on the side and say that it's not possible, it's your imagination, things that we've inherited when we were children, because when we were children, we were already psychic. And yeah, and now he has quit his job. He has trained in yoga in India, very cliche, but he loves it. And now he's in Bali. And yeah, he's very psychic. He has a Reiki business. He's still doing
Wow.
amazing art and design. And trust me, he resisted so much.
I
And at
find
some,
that the most skeptical people, they're so skeptical because they're trying so hard to push these things down.
yeah. And
I've
he's
always
a,
been like open to it. And
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't actually think that I'm like overwhelmingly gifted as a sentient or as a clair.
You are very, very intuitive. And as that, in our session, we also saw that. So, so definitely in one or two sessions, you're going to be super, super attuned. And that's also what I teach is like, it's like going to the gym, we need to train this. It's nothing magical, because and I train myself frequently, because otherwise we lose confidence. We're like, oh no, it's not my intuition, or we try to overanalyze. What if we sit and we receive the messages? Then it's much easier. And
Mm,
sometimes it's so random, like for example, I was doing Reiki on a client and I hear literally the song of Jurassic Park, like, do, do, do. I'm like, what are you talking about?
that's such
The
a good
whole,
show.
I was like, I need to focus, stop it. So the whole thing, do, do, do. And at the end, I was like, okay, I need to interpret it because you receive the message, but you not necessarily know how to
You
interpret
name
it.
them? Like, what does
Yeah,
Jurassic Park mean to you?
yeah. So at the end, because after Reiki, I always give some psychic insights. That's also my little bonus thing. And I was like, look, I heard this song, a bit random. So are you a big fan of Jurassic Park, or are you going on a retreat or something on the Jurassic Park coast in England? And he was like, yeah, I'm going next week. And how do you know that? I like, because I just heard the song. That's why. So in some ways, I'm not doing anything. That's what I love saying is I'm being paid for just receiving messages. I'm not working. That's quite easy. And it's just incredible because even for me as a channel, I'm like, wow, I don't even know how I got these messages. That's incredible. But then, it works. It works. Uh,
Yeah. So
so
interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, it's whatever it is I just can feel what people are feeling. And so that's
mm,
really hard sometimes. And as a
it
therapist,
is hard.
I have a week where there's like a lot of my clients are really going through stuff. I'm like really upset by the weekend. Like, and it takes a lot
Mm.
for me to, like, I will just like, sometimes I just wake up on Saturday and I'm like,
Yes, so I totally relate to you because when I was working in tech, so like the open space with a lot of noise and interruption, I was like, how is it possible to do my job? And I will feel everything. I will in tech, I was at director level, working with CEOs, like the big stuff, and I will feel everything. And at that time, I will doubt myself. I'd be like, am I crazy to have all this information? I can't work. I can't do my work properly. What am I going to do with my life? And this is where we see that actually this is a gift, but we need to know how to protect our energy
yeah,
because we are like this massive antenna and sponge. Otherwise, you feel drained at the end of the day. And also, that was one of the reasons why I resisted my purpose because I was like, I'm so drained in companies, in like KPIs or whatever. I'm not going to help hundreds or millions of people in the future if I can't, if I'm drained. I'm going to be burned out all the time. And it's true, there are so many therapists who get burned out. But
yeah,
then I realized that again, like through Reiki, through intuition, through inner work on myself, I could hold space for people's even like back to back, but I try to avoid this anyway, and be uplifted. And actually, there is something beautiful that is happening, and I'm sure you see that in your job. My clients come in the session, they feel distressed, I feel lost, I'm stuck in my life, blah blah blah. And by the end, whoop, there is something shifting and a massive shift, and then they're super happy and da 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 da. And this shift makes me like super happy as well. Same for psychic channeling. People are like, oh, it takes a lot of energy. I don't know. It's not the case for me and my students because you are connected to source. So you're literally like living a film. You're like, oh wow, and this is a message, and this. So at the end, I'm like, whoa, it was fun. So for
yeah.
me, again, this job, if you know how to protect your energy, and it's we can learn this. It's actually very very uplifting.
Yeah, I'm still working on learning how to do that, the protecting my energy, I think.
I can help you. It's not a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, some weeks are great and I'm like, but other weeks I'm like, oh my gosh. I think when I have more going on in my personal life, my like defenses are weakened kind of.
Mm,
And
mm,
it's
mm.
a lot easier for me to absorb like really
Mm.
heavy stuff from my clients. So,
Yeah, and also I think it's choosing people who we work with. So obviously, in coaching and psychotherapy, people are struggling and they are sad, etc. But I know that selecting people who we work with also has a big impact on our energy on it, because some people are not completely aligned with us, and
Yeah.
therefore the result is not as good. So it's like tuning into this, and also asking ourselves, do I, do I really like this kind of topic or session? So really choosing the things that really uplifts us, so that as therapists and coaches, we can serve even better and not just say yes to everything, if it makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Um, Question about your role in tech. So you said that you were working with like directors and stuff. What was your kind of role in tech? What did you do?
So the role, the title is product manager. So it's basically the mini CEO of a company in terms of websites and mobile app. And I will
Okay.
work with stakeholders like the CEO, designers, developers, etc. And the role was very like problem solving and like handling conflicts. Keeping in mind that at that time, for me, having conflicts was the worst. But
Mm.
I chose this role, and it was amazing. So it really helped me to create my company quickly at the end of the day. But also, what was difficult for me at that time was that the higher the grade, the more I had to take some decision, sometimes not in favor or humanly aligned with my values. And for
Mhm.
me, I couldn't, and that's also why so many times I was burning out, despite like amazing result, because I was making decisions like what we were talking previously, that were not aligned with myself, or I was resisting it, or I would be negotiating for me. And that's what I teach in companies nowadays. Like I teach conscious leadership and intuition, energy, etc., and self awareness. Is that we can have success in a company being human focused and preserving the energy of people and not aiming for short term. I never understood why we have to pressure employees so much, and then there is lack of trust, burnout, you name it. So that's also led me to my purpose, because I was like, how is it possible that it works? And actually, when you think about it, it doesn't work. And that's why big companies nowadays have big problems. So that's also one part of the job I do. And my favorite part was to be the people manager, to develop my team, to see them grow, and to see we will smash the KPIs with like a human centered approach, which I believe is the right thing.
That very much resonates with she was my second guest, and she has a business where, it really focuses on like happiness in the workplace. And that was how she led with every business she worked with. It was always about employee happiness, and boards of directors are like, well, but what about, ROI and all of this? And she was like, if you give them more and make them happier, then they will be better employees. And that's always been something. It's always a conflict, right? Boards of directors are less interested in that. So interesting.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
happiness, when we think about it, is like making sure that people feel seen and recognized. It's not even giving them free pizza on Friday, because I had so
exactly.
many so many companies doing that, and I'm like, I don't care. Just listen to me. I don't care about your pizza. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
so.
definitely.
And seeing the difference of people as a gift and not like as a, some people, as I was saying, for me, who is super sensitive, working in an open space all the time is super draining. So I need moments where I can focus, so it's finding a model that is working, using the gifts of everyone while progressing together.
Yeah. In terms of money, how have you um what have you noticed shift for you from corporate to becoming private and sort of having your own business? Is there any programming that you had to unlearn? You've touched on it a little bit earlier in the podcast about trusting and knowing that it's going to come in. But what kind of money stories did you learn and unlearn and relearn?
Yeah, absolutely. to answer your question, let me go in the past a tiny bit. So one of the fears I always had from childhood is like becoming homeless, because my dad, when we were in the family, would be like, "Oh, the money is going to lag. We are all going to end under a bridge, etc." And while we had money, I had this fear of like, oh my God, maybe one day my family is going to like, etc. And so very early on, I started to volunteer in food banks, and now I'm a member of the food bank as a board member. So I always had the feeling of like I don't understand why some people are in the street and are lacking of money. So that has been a very big theme throughout all my life. And so that's why also I went to tech. I had a lot of money, but then I was burning out and I was using the money to get better, and then I would go to another job, etc. So I was like, okay, it's not sustainable. And when I decided to create this company, people were like, you're not going to be able to make money. People in Reiki or psychic or coaching, you're going to struggle, etc. And I was like, I believe in the universal process, one, and also I mean, if I have a skill, is I'm quite good at making money, but in a authentic way. One of the key things that one of my Reiki teachers told me is there is no shame about making money in a spiritual business, because a lot of people have this programming, and I serve like corporate people who wants to find their purpose, and also holistic people, coaches, yoga teacher, let's say, who wants to make a profitable business. And so my amazing Reiki teacher called Michael Kaufman told me one day, it is important to charge money for Reiki, for example, because it's an exchange of energy. If you were giving Reiki for free or Reiki courses for free, people wouldn't see the value of it. We are in a capitalist society, and also energy, money, everything is energy. So that's why it's important. And also money is a reflection of self-worth. So when I started, my prices were a bit lower, but then I found like a balance that were like a good representation of my self-worth and what are the kind of people also I wanted to serve, while keeping my prices also accessible and discount for people who didn't have much money. So yeah, every along the way, I was tested with doubt, with like, oh, am I making a price too high? Do I need to change this? And I was like, okay, no, like the message I was receiving was like, no, because again, this is a frequency. If you put a classical radio frequency, you attract this kind of people. If you want a rap music, so it's just a frequency. It's just a frequency. And also yeah, also being able to step out of our comfort zone. So in sorry, a bit convoluted answer. When people start intuitive business coaching with me, when I make them channel their business plan, at some point there is a part where like, how much are you going to price your services? And often they give me, let's say, £60 the hour. But then from a frequency perspective, I see that the energy drop, and I know that they are not in their self-worth, and they're
Yeah.
just, and I'm like, okay, so then we do a kind of higher self meditation. You get it all. You have no problem with money, da, da, da. Then what is the price now? Oh, it's 120, let's say. So it's just helping us see, are we in our inner child or scarcity mindset, or are we in our expensive state? And again, it doesn't mean to say we need to put expensive prices, but it's like, what is a price that resonates the best with my energy, so that I do a work that feels good to me and I don't build resentment because I want to be the cheap healer or whatever, So it's finding your path. There are many paths, so there is not one template.
Yeah, finding the right rate is definitely that's an ongoing. Yeah.
I can help you on this one,
Yeah.
and it goes super fast. It goes super fast, and because I have my psychic scanner, I can see if people are in their higher self or are they, sorry for the word term, bullshitting themselves, and be like, okay, let's review this, and it's beautiful. Often it's just what I see is people are just waiting for permission, you know. So sometimes it's very hard to allow themselves to say, okay, now I'm worth this price. But I also often mentioned the example of the coffee. If you have a coffee at £5 versus a coffee at 50p, like at a petrol station, you'll be like, oh, the quality of the 50p is going to be disgusting.
Yeah.
So that's well as well. People like to invest. You know, they like to invest in quality. So the price needs to reflect this as well. And of course, you know, you can have also the cliche of the American, sorry for Americans, of like £50,000 for one session. Yeah, it's, you know, it's again, it's up to you, but we have to find some level of integrity and morality, and also being able to say like, who do I want to serve? Everyone has a different journey.
I find with just as a little caveat, the American sort of like process industry, whatever, there's an added layer of complexity to it
Mm.
because so many people pay for wellness practices via insurance. So
Oh, wow.
they're happy to go there if it's like $400 an hour, right?
Yeah.
They're only paying 80 and then their insurance company pays for the rest. So I find I'm always really surprised when I'm looking at prices
Yeah.
for therapists, healers, whatever in the US and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's so high." And then I speak to the people that pay it, like friends and family that are getting these services, and they're like, "Yeah, yeah, but I only pay 50. Like my insurance covers the rest." And
That's
it's so
good.
yeah, it's just whereas I find more in Europe, you you pay what it says.
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely. And it
if
was like
£100 an hour, then they're paying £100 an hour, and there's no third party insurance that gets involved. So
yeah, yeah. And don't get me wrong, it's like it was just like a cliche, and I have like so many American clients and friends. But yeah, it's just to say that at the end of the day, it's a personal choice, and to see what resonates with us is the most important. And if we keep having nightmares about our prices, then either it's a problem of confidence, you know, and it's quite easy to work on it, or it's something that is not aligned with us. But
mm,
I always say, if you don't try, you don't know. If you
yeah,
keep having something that comes in your head, it might be a little nudges. You know, I had the same price for spiritual and business, and then I kept having business. Shouldn't be this price. Should be a bit more expensive. I did some research. I saw that yes, it was more expensive, but I was like, oh no, I can't. And then I was like, you know what? I'll just maintain this price for my current client, and for new ones, we'll see. And new ones are no problem paying. You know, so again, as long as they get the value, this, you know, and I know that, for example, with intuitive business coaching, the information they download, it's like worth months of in agencies. So we're talking about thousands of pounds, you know.
mm,
So it's also putting things into perspective and see that yeah, it's yeah, it's just perspective and what sits right with you. And if people, I always, you know, I always offer payment plans or prices, so because you know, I don't want this to become an industry. For me, it is like allowing myself to continue my impact on the world without being egocentric on many people, while making staying accessible for everyone, if it makes sense.
yeah. It sounds like I like that when you describe that money is, you know, the like the different frequencies because it is definitely it's an energetic, like money is energy. And so it's just matching it and it sounds like that's something that you've always been pretty aligned with.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
if you were corporate, like straight away, you were earning, you know, at a high level.
For me, and there is a film about it. There is a film about, I'm so bad at remembering names, but there is a film with a red actress who is really good at making money and she works in casino and stuff like that. For me,
Okay.
it's more like a game. It's like Susie's Games or something like that. It's Sally's Game. I can't remember. But it's more like a game. It's like and not like rip off people, but it's more like business, and that's what I also teach people. It's like it doesn't have to be so serious, you know. It's light-hearted. It's trying, and Um, I don't believe in failure. It's like, okay, if it doesn't work, it's a redirection. So
Redirection.
I think money is a bit like sex or whatever. It's taboo, but when you look at it, when you reconnect with it, you see like no, it's beautiful. It's why would it be shameful? You know, it is a means to an end, and the most important is the integrity and the intention behind it. You know, it's like the question with AI: is it good or is it bad? How do you use it? You know, do you use it to spread more love, or do you use it to control people and rip people off? You know, it's all about intention behind action.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. We'll have to I'm gonna pick your brain around all of that when we finish recording.
Yes, yes,
Definitely. I have
yeah.
lots of
I
thoughts floating
yeah,
around
yeah,
my head. Yeah.
definitely. And I think you know, we were talking well, 11.
Ah, it is. Yeah.
Oh, perfect timing. Always, and that's how you know, like that's how they communicate with us, like guides or angels, whatever you call them. Um, I think also money is another conditioning that we received, you know, because it's in the interest of the 1% to keep us small. So it's like, oh no, don't ask for more money, don't do that, especially women. And I'm like, sorry for my French, fuck it. You know, we all deserve abundance. We all deserve, and as I was saying, it's not abundance can be accessible to everyone. So it's not because Meghan or Aude has some prices that is going to deplete someone. When someone invests in in themselves, that's the best investment, so that they can create more abundance, more joy, more happiness in their life. And honestly, this is priceless. So that's also why it's difficult to put a price to it. But I
Yeah,
think
and
it's a service. It's really a service.
yeah, I think that there really is that mindset that there is a finite amount of whatever the thing is, money, well, time, yes, but like money and resources, and actually everything is like abundant, right? So if I earn more, it's not taking anything away from someone else. There's enough for everyone to earn infinitely, right?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
also having a business, we can be super creative, having a business model that can serve different people. So I know I'm getting to a stage where it's difficult to serve everyone in one-to-one. So that's
Mm,
why I'm working on like a digital course platform that will be more accessible in terms of prices to people, but at the same time that can help me to scale and you know, and so people will pay less money, but they have pretty much the same content
yeah.
and I don't need to be there all the time. So it's like, okay, what is, I'm in product management mode now. What is a user problem? Some people can't afford some session. Great. Well, I'm going to have a format so they can afford it rather than saying, oh no, I'm just serving the superstar, whatever. And by the way, my prices are not that high for this. So at,
I'm feeling this too in terms
uh,
of wanting to have some more like group offer, something to serve more people. I mean, that's also what the podcast is, to connect with more people and have free or low
absolutely.
cost offerings for people.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of internet is we
Mm,
can everything I learned from my company. It's a lot of personal research, you know. So the information is there, and the template is endless. When people were saying, "Oh, you can't do this," like, well, I don't like limitation, as you can see. So I'll be like, okay, what can I do about it? What can I? So, and that's what makes me thrilled. That's what it brings me a lot of excitement. I
mm,
like challenges, but I know some people it's more difficult, and that's why they need a therapist and they need a coach so they can see like, oh, actually, uncertainty doesn't have to be that stressful. We can see uncertainty as a myriad of opportunities. And again, if we connect to intuition, then I have more information. So I'll be like, oh, I'm going to Israel. I'm going to France. I'm going to, even
yeah,
if it doesn't make sense.
yeah. Thinking about reflecting on everything that you said specifically from earlier with some of the more difficult rock bottom experiences that you had. Now that you're sitting in this place of infinite wisdom where you're able to
Come
help
on.
people, I'm not sure which rock bottom you would want to draw from, but what advice would you give yourself if present day you could go back and sit with you at your lowest point? So maybe you touched on like a suicide attempt or some of the experiences you had when you came to London. Some like your lowest point. If you could
Yeah.
sit with you then, now,
Mm-mm. Yeah, yeah.
what advice would you give?
And by the way, before answering this beautiful question, I'm learning. I have as much wisdom than everyone else, and so that's important. I will say that life is full of surprises, and also when you touch rock bottom, it's amazing because you can't go further down. So that's quite reassuring in some ways. So you're like, okay, I'm at the bottom. I'm in the shit. So now I can only go up. Um, and yeah, life keeps surprising me with so much beauty. It can be raw, it can be challenging, but it's like a hike. Of course, you're like, oh, I got to the top of the mountain. It's fine. No, it's not. But it is an adventure. Life. I don't want to sound cliche, but it's a process. But keep believing in your dreams, because if they are in your mind, it's for a reason. It's just this little voice who tells you that it's possible. And we have so much, and I have like shivers when I connect with my guides. So they're like shivers of love. We have so much protection. We have so much love around us. And if we just know how to tap into it, what I teach and what you even, do some research on the internet. You don't have to pay me. You can access this. You can access this, and it's incredible. And so it's so reassuring, and you have all the answers within yourself. So that's what I will tell myself. So to keep going, even when people tell you it's not possible, to be like, thank you for your point of view, and you just continue your road. You don't even need to debate and spend your energy. And one day you will be surrounded with people who gets you, who are cheering you up. You are going to talk about all the topic you want. You're going to be paid for doing a job that doesn't look like a job. Have amazing people around you, boyfriend, whatever. So yeah. So just know it's just one chain of the mountain. It's a cycle, and there would be another cycle, and there is nothing to be afraid of, basically.
That's good advice. I like that. Yeah. Okay. Well, if people want to work with you and use your wonderful skills and services, where should they find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, Aude.Firmin. I'm on LinkedIn, TikTok, all the channels. And my website is www.aude.firmin.com. Yes, so, and you have always a free 30-minute consultation online where you can have your psychic reading, spiritual life coaching, etc. You can taste as an appetizer, and you can see that even in 30 minutes you have lots of insights, so you have nothing to lose, and it's good also to assess if there is a good energetic match. But yes, it's fun, so go and enjoy it.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm from experience. She's very, very helpful, very good. So I'll put
Oh,
all of that information in the show notes as well. So um, thank you very
thank you
much.
so much. Yes,
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun. You are an amazing host, Megan, and beautiful being, human being, and I know all the dreams you are having and doing, and I'm just super super proud of you and so happy you are in my life.
No, thank you so much. Yay. Okay. Well, thank you. And yeah, we'll speak soon. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye bye.